Hey everybody, today on Rahdo Runs Through, we are rounding up the month of September 2025. And folks, this was a big month. Even though Jen and I have spent have we been on the road now for 2 weeks?
Yep.
For almost 2 weeks. We have been...
Exactly 2 weeks. It's Monday.
Oh, exactly. As of today, 2 weeks, we've been slowly driving from Ireland to Essen, because we're on our way to the convention. We ended up spending a week in the Netherlands. We just spent almost a week hanging out at a creepy moor in Germany, and now we are heading northeast. We've just passed Hamburg. We're going to some really cool castle. I want to call it Severton Castle or something like that. Schwerin Castle. It looks very, very cool. We're going to spend a couple days there, and then maybe, was it Comstock or something stock? Anyway, we're doing all kinds of things on the road. There's the road in front of us. There's, if you can see, there's our caravan behind us. There's our Starlink on the roof of the car that keeps me connected as I film this for you. There's a pup in the background. There's Jen driving away, because Jen does all the driving. I do all the navigating, but I'm eschewing my navigation duties to talk to you folks about 24 games. Although before we get to the countdown of those 24 games, including a new game of the month, potential game of the year, quite frankly, it's so good, I have to tell you that, as always, folks, there were some exclusive videos if you back the show here on YouTube as a member over at patreon.com/Rahdo. And I just want to let everybody know it's out there. First of all, what have we got? Oh, we've got a few game play videos. There is a full gameplay of me and Jen playing Babylon, which was a very, very cool tiling 3D building game that came out last year. And then more recent new Essen games, we had full playthroughs of Under the Leaves and Kingdom Crossing, which were both excellent as well. Also, I should have a couple more run-throughs for you folks, but we had so much time gobbled up getting ready for this trip and then being on the trip that I have not done my monthly Rahdo Recluse yet. But that just means in October I'm going to do 2 separate Recluses at some point or other. When this lady leaves me to go off and do something in some city, I'll sit down and film some more games. So there's going to be even more stuff. What else was there? I did a new Q&A with some really great A-B comparisons, like SETI versus Shackleton Base. What do you think, folks? Castle Combo versus Strange World Above the Clouds. We talked about life on the road, how it's working for us. I go deep on the Star Wars prequels and have some very unorthodox views about them. Talked a little bit about politics and whatnot, all in the latest Q&A. I did not do a ramble because, again, there just wasn't enough time, so I'm going to be doing 2 rambles next month to make up for it. And then, of course, we did the Jen Jog, which is the companion to this show. Jen counted down these same games that I'm doing. She had 2 5-star games, 2 games of the year, as far as she's concerned. I'm going to be talking about both of them. You'll have to guess which ones she thought were the absolute greatest. Anyway, all of those are available right now as exclusives if you back the show, as my way of saying thank you for helping keeping Rahdo running. Okay, and now, actually, one more thing before we get to the countdown. I also need to thank James Wood of That Board Game Show, who does a fantastic job editing these videos together for me. There's a link for his channel down in the show notes. But I'm going to throw over to James for a little bit, and he can tell you what he got up to in the month of September. James, tell us all about it. What's on your channel new?
Hi there. Thank you, Richard, for inviting me back to contribute my little segment to your monthly roundup. September marks the beginning of spring here in South Africa, and as such, we decided to play all of our spring or autumn or nature-themed games, which included Meadow, Cottage Garden, Wild Gardens, Bower, Seikatsu, and Lotus. And then we ran out of nature-themed games, and we continued to play Phantom Epoch, Wormholes, Kenfire Chronicles Nightsfall, Ultre, and the Seventh Continent. And the highlight this month was just playing all of those nature-themed games, because here in South Africa, spring has sprung, and as you can see, it's pretty green and beautiful out. In fact, thank you, Richard, for inspiring me to get out of the studio and actually film this segment out in the wild outdoors. I usually like to keep everything nice and controlled and static in my little studio space, but watching Richard gallivanting all over Germany and filming segments from all different interesting parts of the world inspired me to show you a little slice of our interesting part of the world. And I think the game that highlights this the best was probably Wild Gardens, simply because the art in that game is absolutely stunning. And it was really a lot of fun getting it back to the table after several years, because we were actually involved in playtesting it way back when it was in early development. And naturally, it took several years to get from that playtesting phase to eventually being out in the wild and people actually having it on their tables. So having a final production copy and getting to play that and play the Springboard in spring was a lot of fun. And this month on that board game show, I did not continue the spring theme, but instead I continued the On Mars theme that's been a bit of a recurring feature on the channel the last couple months, with a explainer video showing you how the base game plays, specifically showcasing the solo mode. And depending when this video goes live, it's either out already or shortly coming out on the channel. I also did a solo explainer video for the solo mode from the Alien Invasion expansion for On Mars. So if either of those pique your interest, I'm sure Rahdo is going to put links down in the description below. And with that, I shall hand things back over to Richard, and let's see where in Germany he's going to be filming from next.
Hey, James. Thanks. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Of course, I haven't seen it yet because you haven't edited the video together. But, folks, we are off the road now. Here's where we're spending the night. Here's our caravan in the background. Here is the magic hour. The sun's not going to... I'm not going to stay out here for long. I'm only going to talk about a couple. And tomorrow, when we go into... Schwerin? I think is the name of the town we're a couple miles away from, to see the famous Schwerin Castle. Maybe we'll continue the countdown there. But, as always, we must start... in the saddest of places, at the bottom of the list, number 24 of the month for me is Horrified Dungeons & Dragons. I have not done a run-through of it, but you can see a video on screen from the Game Rules Doctor. Great-looking video. They did a good job, and if you want to watch it in action, there's a link for their channel and their video down in the show notes below. There'll be links for everything down in the show notes. But anyway, go check out the Game Rules Doctor. They did a good run-through of it. But it lets you see... That probably lets you see why Jen and I did not like this. Coming at the bottom of the list, I've wanted to try Horrified, the series, forever. It's a pandemic-style co-op game where we have a certain number of action points that we use to run around a map and fight monsters and save people and all of that kind of stuff. The game's been around forever. This is like the fifth iteration of it, this time with Dungeons & Dragons fantasy theming instead of, the universal monsters or, various and sundry places it's been in before. Anyway, though, what this new version... what Horrified is a very simple, very gateway co-op game that's just too simple and gateway for me and Jen. If we are going to be spending a lot of time thinking about how we're going to move around the board, we want that to be an interesting and challenging puzzle. Like Pandemic, where, hey, okay, I need to get over to Karachi. What's the best way to do it? Well, I could, discard this card that would get me to a city that's 2 away, or if I just walk over to Atlanta, I can play that and then go over there. But then, that's one of the blue cards I've got, and we have enough blue cards. I really should meet you in Atlanta and give you the card. So those kinds of puzzles are a lot of fun, and Horrified doesn't have that. Horrified's pretty straightforward. Oh, well, we got to walk this character from this location to this location, and along the way I can pick up some items, and I need these items to fight the monsters. Okay, I guess that's what I'll do. And then the monster goes, and now it's your turn. It's very simple, very straightforward, very gateway, introductory stuff. And again, it's just too lightweight for me and Jen. So we have now discovered we don't like Horrified. But what about Dungeons & Dragons? Well, it has cool, Dungeons & Dragons monsters we're dealing with, and it introduces a 20-sided die, which I gotta say I'm not a fan of either. I saw a lot of people on Board Game Geek saying that they love it, that they, introducing a bit of randomness and unpredictability. But basically, you use this die for a bunch of different stuff. Most notably, each of us has a special character. I'm a cleric or a wizard or a paladin or whatever, and I've got special powers that I can use. Just like any pandemic-style game. But when I want to use my special power, I have to roll the die and see what power is going to happen. So I can't actually predict what I'm going to do. Imagine playing, Pandemic, and you're the dispatcher, and if you want to use your power to move other players around, you've got to roll a die to see where they're going to go, because you don't know what's going to happen. Again, I can see why it's attractive to some player, the random chaos of it, but, I want a more deterministic experience. And while original Horrified was that, I think Horrified itself is a little too lightweight, and I was not a fan of rolling the die and just seeing what happens. So Horrified Horrified Dungeons & Dragons, I should say, comes in at number 24 of the month, sadly. Then we move on to number 23, Feya's Swamp, with a video on screen from the channel Brett Spiel blog. They did a great job. I have not covered it, so I'm just using theirs. Thank you, Brett Spiel blog. Anyway, though, what is this game? Well, it's going to be a huge hit. I think so many people are excited about this at Essen Spiel in a few weeks because it's from the same design group that did Terra Mystica and the Gaia project. And, of course, these are hugely popular, monstrously popular, well-loved games. Although, interestingly, Feya's Swamp is a remake of a game they did many, many years ago called Cavai, C-A-I-V-A-I, and I kind of think it shows because it feels a little old-fashioned. You know, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just a very, very simple, straightforward, hey, we're in a swamp, there's a bunch of islands, we are trying to develop settlements on these islands so we can get majority, so we can score points. All right, we do it through worker placement, very straightforward worker placement. Now, I do not know what's changed from Cavai to Feya's Swamp, other than originally the game required at least 3 players, but now you can play it as a 2-player game, and that's why I was interested, because of course I'm going to play it 2-player with Jen. And I've got to say, while it works as a 2-player game, I would not recommend it as a 2-player game. As we were playing, I just felt the whole time like, man, we need more players around the table to make this more interesting and dynamic. All the mechanisms work. And, what they did, they have an alternate side of the board that tightens things up, so it's a smaller space, so we're, fighting for majority of these areas. And as part of setup, you do a neutral settlement thing where after I placed my 3 starting settlements and you placed yours, we also, each of us have to place neutral starting settlements as well. I did not like this at all. It kind of felt like I was having to finish the work that the designers started. They said, oh, well, how are we supposed to get the board tightened up and set up? Well, we could come up with a system, or we could just have the players do it. I'm like, I'd rather have a system. I did not find that a fun setup thing at all. I have to admit. And, of course, you wouldn't do that at higher player counts because all the stuff is done by players trying to pursue their own agenda rather than us trying to make strategic early choices about, I guess, creating different value for different bits of real estate on the board. I don't know. I was not a fan of that setup. And also, so the crux of the game is that we're going to play through 4 rounds. It's a quick game. And first thing we do every round is we each... we draft for a card that says 3 things: what the turn order is going to be, our initiative speed, how fast we can move our boats around the world, so we can interact and build on the different islands and stuff like that, and how much it costs to build. And then each card also gives us a special power. And as part of setup, I think the game comes with 12 of these cards and 2 or 3 of them are left out. So there's like 9 or 10 cards we can draft from. And now that would be so much more interesting at a higher player count, because if I'm playing a 5-player game, 5 of those cards are going to be grabbed. And so, it's a big difference. Right? Do I want this card or this card? This will let me go ahead of player 2 or behind player 2. Yeah, you know what? Somebody took a 3. Somebody took the 6. Do I want the 4 or the 5? Because I got to go before you. But which power do I want more of? So that would all be very interesting at a higher player count. But as a 2-player count, they didn't do anything to tighten that up. There are just as many cards to draft from at 2 as there would be at the full player count. And it just felt kind of flat. It kind of felt like there should have been a rule if I choose the number 6, then you've got to choose the 7, 8, the 4, or the 5, right? You've got to pick close to me so that it's a little bit tighter, that the choices I make really affect the choices you make, instead of just being so wide open. Again, I'm saying it works as a 2-player game, but I would not get this as a 2-player game. I would get this for the higher player count. The gameplay itself is solid. You do worker placement to, say whether we're going to move my ships around to go fishing this round, or whether I'm going to move my little boats around to go build in different islands, or whether I'm going to go, deliver the fish, or whether we're going to trigger celebrations, or whether we're going to upgrade our boats, or, various sundry things. And everything about this game is getting there first. If you're the first to build on an island, you get to build cheaper. As it gets more valuable, it gets too expensive for other people to build, and that helps you maintain your area majority. The worker placement actions we do that drive everything, the first player to go there goes for free, but then subsequent people have to spend mana stones, so it gets more and more expensive. If you want to do an action, you better do it fast, because it might be too expensive to do it later. Everything in this game is about getting there fast and dealing with initiative, and again, it just kind of falls flat with only 2 players and not other people mixing things up and creating more interesting stuff as the game evolves. And so all this stuff combined, I would love to play this game sometime at a higher player count. I suspect it would come in much higher on my list. But as a 2-player game, which is the only way I played it, Feya's Swamp comes in at number 22 of the month. 23 of the month. Then we got number 22, Echoes of Time. Now, I've done a run-through for this. You can go check it out. There's you can see the video on screen. You can follow the links down in the show notes. And, I thought this game was fantastic. Strictly speaking, it should have been in probably my top 5 or my top 10 of the month, because it is a brilliant, race for the galaxy-esque. Hey, I got to discard cards to play other cards. They've given me powers, immediate powers, income powers, activation powers, all this kind of stuff in a cool, we're playing a fantastical, we're playing with the eddies of time setting. Really great, kind of dark, but really pretty art, and very, very sharp card powers and all kinds of cool ways they combo together. Stuff I love. This is, mother's milk to me. I love this kind of stuff. So why does it come in so low? Especially because the thing that drives it all is an excellent conveyor belt implementation, where I don't play the cards directly to the table. I play in the conveyor belt, and it might take 2 or 3 rounds before they work their way through the conveyor belt to become activated. But not only, at the end of every round, once the conveyor belt updates, the new card that, comes out, the tile that the cards are played to, it gets spit out. The cards that were on it, 1 or 2, get activated so I can use them next round. But the tile that comes out also says what special powers available. If I've got a lot of blue cards, I can see, every other round, it's going to be a blue activation. I can activate my blue powers. Oh my gosh, the red card is about to come out. And my red card, the red powers can activate, but my red card isn't going to come out for 2 more rounds. It's so far up on the conveyor belt. You can sacrifice resources to make things move faster along the conveyor belt as necessary, and I loved it. I love the conveyor belt gameplay. I love the card powers. So why is it at 22? Because the game features a dozen or so needlessly nasty, take that interaction, screw with you, steal your stuff, burn your stuff to the ground cards, and I wish that stuff wasn't there. I just wish it wasn't there. Why does that stuff have to be there? Who likes this stuff? Not me. Now here's the deal. There are only so many of them that you could just go on ahead and say, they just all got shuffled to the bottom of the deck. I don't know if that would break the balance of the game, but, that's how Jen and I played it. But then there was another problem. The game comes with 6 of these overall objective scenario cards, and 2 of the 6 cards, if you aren't going to play with those take that aggressive screw you cards, a third of the overall scenario environment cards are useless. So, 30% of the game is just, you just kind of have to, it's like, no. And it kind of, if this game gets an expansion down the road, I'm kind of reminded of Ancient Knowledge, another brilliant card game with another brilliant conveyor belt card game too, that I passed on because it had the same problem. These stupid aggressive take that cards that nobody seems to like, and everybody just wishes they weren't there. And eventually Ancient Knowledge got an expansion that lets you swap those cards out, and then it retroactively made my top 10 of the year. Echoes of Time could do the exact same thing. Fingers are crossed, all of them. Everybody cross all your fingers and your toes and all of that. That the developers, Crania, right, come out with an expansion that lets you dump all the take that, so you can just have fun, doing card combos on a conveyor belt, which is what makes the game really special. Sadly, I had to knock it down for that because it's just not for me and Jen. But if you don't mind a little bit of take that, it's well worth seeking out because it is excellent. Number 22 of the month, The Echoes of Time. And you know what, folks? It's getting kind of cold out here. We're in northern Germany, and the sun is going down. So I think I'm going to stop right there and pick this up tomorrow morning when we go to the big, beautiful fairy tale castle. So join me there, won't you? Okay, folks, it's the next morning. It is very bright and sunny. I can hardly see anything on my screen here, but hopefully I'm in frame. And before we go see the castle, I figured after getting freshly shaved and showered, I would give you a couple more entries. So let's move on to number 21. Vantage. Now, we did a sponsored coverage for this on the channel. It was actually Shay who did the run-through. That's what's on screen right now. You can follow the links to go watch him play it. It's a hugely successful game. A lot of people are loving it. I wouldn't be surprised if this makes a lot of top 10 of the year lists. But I gotta be honest, folks, it's sitting at number 21 for me, which means it wasn't necessarily a keeper. Now, I can't really fault anything about the game. It does what it sets out to do brilliantly, which is create an endlessly explorable sandbox of an alien planet that we've crash-landed on, trying to survive and thrive and complete objectives. And, I mean, the game comes with, I don't remember, 1,000 cards? It's so much content. I mean, you could play this game for probably hundreds of hours before you've explored the entirety of this incredibly huge planet. And all that stuff's very nice, and the central mechanism that drives it all is very cool too. No matter where you go, there's always 6 choices you can choose from. You pick one of the things you're going to do, and somebody else reads you from a given book, or you can use the app/website on your mobile phone, which ultimately I found a little bit nicer than constantly having to dig out another book. And then make a simple choice and or roll some dice. And that's kind of one of 2 places where it fell down for me. It's interesting. I thought maybe I'd be okay with the dice here because you never fail. Whatever it is you set out to do, you will succeed. It's just a question of how much attrition will you suffer. You roll the dice, and if you're lucky, nothing bad happens, but chances are you'll burn some time or some energy or some morale on an action, and over time, you'll wear down, and eventually that will have negative consequences. But you'll always you'll achieve what you set out to do, but still, I just didn't feel the need for the dice. They didn't really add anything interesting. And there's a dice management thing because you're trying to get them rested and back before you suffer any big consequences. It was nice enough, but I could have done without the huge amount of dice rolling that goes on in this game. But that's just me. That's my predilection. My other issue is that the game, the kind way to put it is it's very sandboxy. Go wherever you want. Do whatever you want. Experiment. Explore. Just see what you're going to find. And that's all cool. But for me, it felt kind of aimless and directionless. I mentioned, every single thing you can interact with. Every location you come to, you have 1 of 6 choices. You often have no idea when you're choosing any idea what it is you're going to do. You say, okay, well, I guess I'll do this action. And, oh, is that what that action meant? Okay, that was not necessarily what I expected. Oh, okay, well, I guess I'm doing it now, so let's roll some dice. And you'll come across people on this planet that say, oh, my significant other was kidnapped and they're somewhere to the north. Could you please go save them? I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go do that. Good. There's some direction. I've got a quest. I've got to go do something. But then you go north and you just never find them. This world is so big. I probably could have done with a little bit more direction for my own predilection or my own preferences. Now, Shay loved it. My wife loved it. But for me, I just need something a little bit more concrete, a little bit less ethereal, which is why Vantage comes in at number 21 of the month for me. Then we've got number 20. Under the Leaves. This is a lovely, charming little tile drafting and tile laying game where we are trying to build up a nice little forest that is ideal for the bees and the hummingbirds and the little forest spirits that we are trying to make an ideal home for. You grab a tile, you rotate it around, you put it in the best spot, trying to create groups of 3 or more of a given color, and if you can do that, you get to put critters on there. Now, the nice thing about this game is every time you play, the 3 different forest spirit creatures, you draw cards for each of them, so you always get a unique combination of ways that they score. And, in that regard, it's very like Tiny Towns, sort of thing. And that is very appreciated. I think this game has tons of replayability. And the puzzle of how to get the matching colors is really nice as well. It's overall very sharply done. Now, this is from the same design team that brought us Mandala and a few other really nice little abstract, simple, fast-playing games. And that's exactly what this is. Both Jen and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I could certainly see enjoying any play of it I would ever do, especially with all the built-in variability, because you always get a different combination of objectives to score. So why was it coming at 20? Because I already have tiny towns, quite frankly. You got to remember, folks, these roundups, this countdown is not necessarily a reflection of how good I think all the games are. I mean, I think Vantage, the previous one I talked about, is very good. I think this is very good. This is more a reflection of how likely am I to keep these games in my collection. And Under the Leaves is wonderful. It's charming. I'd happily play it, but I just don't need to own it because I've got several other games that scratch that same itch. But, if you like the presentation, or you're just really a huge fan of these sort of fast-playing, small footprint, abstract, puzzly little games, then you might want to check out number 20, Under the Leaves. Then we've got number 19, Kalypso. Now, this is another one I did a sponsored preview for, so you can follow the links down in the show notes to go check out the run-through. This is a water world future where we are trying to survive on the surface of the ocean by, drafting, what do you call it, closed hand drafting, like Seven Wonders or Sushi Go, polyomino tiles to build out our settlement. And I think the game is great. The best thing about the game is this new technological breakthrough it has called Holdfast, where your tiles will never slide on the board. It's so nice. I hope to see it in more games moving forward because it's really, really sharp. But the tile laying and tile drafting is very good too. Interestingly, you can play this cooperatively or competitively or solo. And I have not gotten a chance to play it co-op yet, even though I think that might be my preferred way to play because they add cool extra player powers and make it that's the deepest, richest version of the game. I played it solo and thought it was very, very nice, and then I only got a chance to play it with my wife competitively so far. And that's the reason it's actually where it is, because the competitive mode of the game does feature at the beginning of every round a little bit of Take That, where I've got to pick an event card to give to you, my neighbor, and from the cards I've got, I try to pick one that will mess you up or, stymie your progress and slow you down. And you have to do that every round 4 times over the course of the game, and I just wish that wasn't there. I do not like it. It's just kind of like, oh, here's a little bit of interaction, some negative ways you can screw with your opponent in a very, very tiny or minor way that won't affect them very much. So then why is it even there? I just didn't like that. Now, here's the interesting thing. I am rating this as a 20 based on that official rule set for the competitive game. I suspect the game will climb quite a bit when I eventually get to play it cooperatively with Jen, because I think the game is richer, there's special unique powers, and you don't have that little tiny bit of player screwage in there. But I talked with the developers of Kalypso a little bit, and we agreed that maybe a better way to play this competitively is to use the method for getting those event cards borrowed from the solo co-op game. And if everybody goes that way, instead of everybody just every turn trying to screw each other over and saying, oh, I'm going to hit you with that the game could be a lot better. And here's the deal. Jen and I played that way, and I can confirm it is much better. I would never play with the official competitive rules. This kind of variant, I think, works very nicely. And just based on that variant, this would get quite a bit higher on the list as well. But I am rating it on the official rule right now. I suspect this game has the potential for me to climb if I eventually get a chance to play it co-op with Jen, or if they eventually make this unofficial tested variant a real rule for the game, you would see Kalypso climb quite a bit higher. But right now, it's number 19 of the month. And again, you can go check out my run through, decide for yourself if it looks like fun. And okay, I think that's enough for now. Next time you'll see me, there'll be a castle in the background, so hold on. Okay, and there we are. As promised, a big, beautiful fairy tale castle. And actually, after we're done with that, we're probably going to walk over into the town, the old town over there. Oh, where is it? There's that big church we'll probably go check out as well. But I can't see anything on my screen because it is very bright and sunny. And my apologies if my phone mic is picking up the wind. Hopefully the Adobe podcast AI cleanup tool will get rid of all that. And anyway, though, I gotta find Jen. She's off somewhere over there in the forest, but not before I tell you about number 18 on the list, Tranquility, The Descent. Now, this is something I did a sponsored run-through for, which you can see there on screen. This is the third game in the Tranquility series of cooperative, imperfect communication games. They are all lovely, beautiful-looking games, great, fun, puzzly, problems to solve as we have to play cards in ascending order without knowing what's in each other's hands. So I can see that from the back of your cards, oh, you've got some blue cards and some green cards, and because we have to have them in our hands in ascending value, I can see, oh, your green is your highest value card. Chances are you want to play that because we've got a good spot to play a high value green, but you don't have, the cards are two use. You play them face up to be the next part of the cavern that we're trying to explore, but you can't play a face up number card until you play a matching face down element card. Basically, all these cards can either be the foundation of what we're playing or the cards themselves. And so I might see, yeah, you're probably hoping I play a green card face down so that you could play yours. All right, if I'm guessing correctly, we'll go for it, and then I put that down there, and then it's your turn, and you don't put the green, and it turns out, oh, that's probably a 13, isn't it? Okay, if you're not playing that, that means that must be a 13, and every other card you have is a lower value than that. All right, so I've made a mistake, and don't worry, we'll be able to clean that up as we continue to puzzle our way through, but that's how you use imperfect communication and deduction to figure out how we can work together to play out a grid. I think it's a 4x10 grid ultimately, maybe a 5x10 grid of cards, all in ascending order on each level of this beautiful, beautiful cavern. And as well, you can turn on objectives, so every time you play, there's a different combination of stuff. And overall, like all the Tranquility games, this one is absolutely fantastic. I think it might be the prettiest of all of them. And though I have a soft spot in my heart for the first, I mean, heck, if you like one, you'll like them all, and they're all absolutely delightful. Again, go check out my run-through to get a sense for why this is absolutely lovely. Jen and I, we have played a lot of limited communication co-ops over the years, so I think maybe we're kind of, I mean, we still enjoyed them, and we enjoyed the heck out of playing this one. But I've done so many, in the wake of the crew and Hanabi and all the rest of them that this one just I can't quite bring the same level of enthusiasm and excitement I have because I played the previous two, but I still really love it, and it's a tiny little box, easy to fit on. I really need to probably get the whole set, all three. They take up the same space as one board game box. And anyway, though, again, watch the run-through, decide for yourself if it looks like fun, because it's crowdfunding right now. Number 18 of the month, Tranquility Descent. And then number 17 is Honor's End, another sponsored run-through I did. This is from superstar publisher IV Games, and it's really nice that it's a co-op. IV Games tends to do competitive games with a little bit of bite in them, but this time you're working with other people in a deck building game, borrowing the deck play mechanisms of some of their more popular games from the past that were kind of in-your-face aggressive games. Now it's a co-op game where we're fighting bosses and leveling up our cards every round. My run-through for this should be up by the time my roundup is public, so again, follow the link down in the show notes. You can go see it in action. Yeah, Jen and I enjoyed it. We both enjoyed it quite a bit. But, it's no Aeon's End. But it is still very, very good. And if you go check out my run-through, you can see, the highs and lows of it. Number 17 of the month, Honor's End. And then one more, because I got to get into that castle up there. I mean, I've just been standing here looking at it. I want to get over there. Number 16 is Fortunes of Scoundrel Bay, a competitive pirate simulation. And unlike most board game pirate simulations, this one leans into the fantasy of what do you call it? The Pirates of the Caribbean, with all kinds of sea monsters and whatnot, while also doing all the normal piracy stuff of, raiding villages and, engaging in trade and, having battles with other ships and stuff like that. In a nutshell, this is a multi-use card game where every card you play when it's your turn is either going to let you recruit more crew, travel further, along the seaways, the channel that we're going through to get to bigger, more dangerous, but more potentially prosperous areas. Or we use the cards to send our crew ashore to interact with the beaches to dig up buried treasure, or the villages to get trade goods, or the ports to deliver those trade goods, or to buy and sell stuff. The multi-use card play is excellent. I'm really, really a fan of it. But the only thing I didn't like here was that when you fight the sea monsters, you got to roll some dice. And, I could certainly do without that. Same as Pirates of Maracaibo. Didn't like the dice roll in there, didn't like it here either, but I really enjoyed everything else about this game. And if it weren't for the dice rolling, this could maybe challenge Maracaibo, my #1 pirate simulation of all time. And if you like a little bit of dice rolling, you're probably going to love this if you want a crunchy, heavy Euro with, fantastical pirate stuff. There's a lot to love in number 16, Fortunes of Scoundrel Bay. All right, let's move on and see where I end up next. Man, I should have worn sunglasses today. It is so bright and sunny out and beautiful. The castle's back there behind the trees. Off in the other direction behind me is a beautiful lawn. I think Jen's back there somewhere. Off in that direction, you can see, looks like a huge lake. Everything is gorgeous. It's wonderful here. But, right. What's the next thing? Oh, we're going to move on to number 15, Aquaria. Another game I did a run-through for this month, so you can go check out the run-through. This is the latest from Thomas Hollick, who continues his unbroken string of design greatness after his big debut last year with 3 big titles, including, SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Life, which was hugely popular. This is one of 3 new games he's bringing out at Essen Spiel this year, plus expansions for the stuff he did last year. And Aquaria is interesting because it's also his first time working with Delicious Games, the little independent publisher founded by Vladimir Shuki and his wife. And this is the first time Vladimir has ever had somebody else's design in one of his games. So there's a lot going on here, a lot to recommend. The game itself is a very, very sharp little puzzly Euro about trying to stock an aquarium full of colorful saltwater fish, trying to get the right fish next to the other fish, trying to maintain the proper pH balance of the water, and worrying about the microbiome, and doing it's kind of a cross between worker placement and rondel. It really kind of defies description. It's really fairly unique, the action selection mechanism. Everything here is great. This is another hit from new design superstar Thomas Hollick, but the only thing I don't like is the subject matter. I'm just not a big fan of capturing animals and keeping them in an enclosed space for our entertainment. But if you like, obviously there's a lot of people who love saltwater tanks and all that. So if that's subject matter you're interested in and you like crunchy Euros with a lot of stuff to balance, there is a lot to recommend for number 15, Aquaria. And then we got number 14, Emberheart, which was another sponsored preview I did. This is a worker placement game where we are trying to rescue dragons from poachers. Either sneaking into the poacher camp to save them, or going into a natural habitat to lead them to safer environments, which we also have to find, and also helping them make life bonds with adventurers who give us all kinds of special powers. There's a lot to recommend here, including the gorgeous art by Andrew Bosley. And the crux of it is a worker placement game where on your turn you send your workers, you have a whole bunch of them, these little discs that represent either regular grunt workers or specialist workers. The grunt workers can go to any worker placement spot you want, and the more of them you send, the more powerful your action will be there, the faster you'll be able to go, and the more powerful your action will be at a space. But when you send the regular grunt workers out, they're gone. They're one and done. You've hired them for one job and then they leave. If you instead train them to become specialists, they'll stick around after round, so you don't keep losing them and having to replace them. But they are very limited in where they can go. So there's a really interesting trade-off with the worker placement. And again, the presentation is fantastic. The subject matter is awesome. It's a really excellent game. And any other month, it would have come in much higher, but we're getting to really, really top-notch stuff. So another one, my wife absolutely loved it. And if you'd like to see it in action, you can check out the preview I filmed for number 14 of the month, Emberheart. And then there's number 13 of the month. One more before we move on to another spot. 13 of the month is, let's look in the other direction though. All right, Stakeout. Oh, good. My face is in the shade. I can actually see a little bit now. All right, so number 13, Stakeout, another sponsored preview for a little gateway style dice chucker where every round you're going to roll a couple of dice. and then deploy them out to different cards that represent all the things you're investigating, because you're a private detective in, noir 40s Los Angeles or something like that. Everybody has a case that they're working on that says, oh, to complete this case, I've got to have a certain combination of evidence or witnesses or suspects or locations, and you can see the ones that are out there, and I'm drawing dice or rolling dice, trying to deploy them on the cards I need, and hopefully claim them for myself before somebody else does. And when I do claim them, I get hot tip cards, which are the main way that you can manipulate the dice after you roll them to do exactly what you need to do. This game is incredibly thematic, hugely, richly thematic. And while it is a very, very lightweight game, there's no two ways about it. This is very much a gateway, practically Yahtzee, maybe a little bit more going on than Yahtzee, but the theme really brings it to life. And, it's a rare thing for me to say a gateway game that is good enough for me and Jen to keep, but this is definitely one of them. So if you'd like to see why, it's crowdfunding right now, and you can go check out my run-through. Links down in the show notes for number 13 of the month, Stakeout. Okay, let's move on. Okay, here's another view of the castle from the back, and got a whole bunch of other stuff. Again, that lake is absolutely gorgeous, but we have to continue counting down, folks. Number 12 is Severton, another one that I did a sponsored run-through for this month. This is the return of Vlada Chvátil, who is the designer of some of the all-time greats like Dungeon Pets and so many other Through the Ages and whatnot. And we haven't seen a design for him for over a decade, a completely something new. And so he is back making, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, mentioned down in the comments, his first ever cooperative pandemic-style adventure game, which basically retells an incredibly popular series of kids' novels from the 1940s, 5 Czech boys, and now it could be boys or girls because we're a more modern game, and we're having adventures in the Severton district of Old Town Prague, running afoul of mean bully 15 and 16-year-olds who are doing mysterious stuff, and it's fantastic. I talked earlier about how if you're going to do this kind of pandemic style, cooperative stuff, you have to come up with something really cool and puzzly to the moving and searching around the world. And this game does it with really excellent multi-use cards that you use either to move or to interact with the world or to investigate. So there's 3 different things that most cards can do, and having to pick the right ones at the right time or relying on your teammates, because a big part of this game, more so than most co-ops, is the group having to make the tough choice of sticking together because there's safety in numbers, or splitting up to get more stuff done. And players can escort each other around. If I've got the right cards and you don't, I can get you where you need to go. There's a lot of really clever stuff. It's coming out at Essen Spiel, and I think it's been a long wait for a new Vlada Chvátil game, and it was worth the wait because Severton is fantastic at number 12 of the month. Geez Louise, around every corner with this place, it just gets more and more gorgeous. I cannot believe it. We came on a really good day, and it's pretty busy considering it's a Tuesday. But regardless, let's move on to number 11, Wayfarer's Tale, or A Wayfarer's Tale. And now, I have not done a run-through for this, but Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules has. So you can see him giving it a go. Actually, you can follow a link down in the show notes to go check out his run-through of the game. I think he teaches how to play the game. He did a solo and a multiplayer run-through. And this is a great little roll and write. It comes with a bunch of different maps that change things up with special rules. But the crux of it is, on your turn, you're going to roll, I forget what it is. It's either 3 dice or 4. No, it's 3 regular dice. Plus, if you're the lead roller, you get a 4th die that only you have access to. It's bingo style. So everybody takes those dice, picks 2 of them, and adds them together to be the active number for them. And then they apply that number to one of 5 different little mini games, whether you're interacting with the merchant or the sailor or the mountaineer or whatever. And these let you move around the world that you're trying to explore in different ways. And the crux of the game is figuring out, right, well, what 2 dice am I going to combine? What power am I going to use? I could get that number now, but I don't really want to move to a place that character lets me move right now. So should I, go for this other thing? And maybe I won't get a 3 again. That's going to be tough to roll. just not really the right time. And dealing with those kinds of decisions makes for a fast, fun little roll and write with a lot of variability with all the different setups you've got from game to game, and it is a blast. Definitely keep. Oh, and if you get the deluxe version, man, the components for this game are really, really, really nice, including dry erase boards instead of the pads if you want to keep playing over and over again. I am very, very impressed by this. Both Jen and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And again, you can check out Paul's video and see for yourself why it's so much fun. That is number 11, A Wayfarer's Tale. Okay, continuing on in the grotto here at Sharon Castle, we've got, what are we at? We're number 10 now. Kingdom Crossing, which is a very, very cool game. Both Jen and I were really surprised by this one. This is turning the classic 7 bridges problem into a very interesting, very compelling puzzly Euro, where on your turn you're going to activate one of your action cards that says how many bridges you get to cross this turn. And you've got several of them, but you're only going to play a few every round. And the thing is, you're moving around this little kingdom, trying to land on different islands to grab the card you need to combo and score points the best, or gather resources and unlock powers and all kinds of stuff. Here's the tricky thing, as per the classic, oh dear, folks, there's an army of school children coming through. Let me go on ahead and move a bit further away from that. All right. We're now into the deep swampy part of the grotto to get away from the tourists. All right, anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the tricky thing is you cannot cross a bridge once you've already gone over it. So as the round goes on, okay, I played this thing and let me move across 3 bridges so I can get over there because I need to grab that card. Now I want to get that card over there. How am I going to get to it? Well, I could play a 1 and then a 2 and take a couple of turns to get there, but what am I going to stop on the way? But the important thing is the more you move around, the fewer bridges you've got to continue moving around. And you've got to be careful because at the end of the round, you want to end on an island where you've got one of your buildings to score points. Now, what you really want to do, though, if you can, is every round, make it across every bridge, all 7 bridges, which strictly speaking is impossible. That's what the 7-bridge problem is classically about. But the solution is there's a hot air balloon. And if you move over to where the hot air balloon is, you can pay extra resources to basically fly wherever you want. Because at the end of the round, you will get more points the more bridges you cross. So you often are in a tough spot. Okay, I just want to stick over here. These are the things I want. And I'm not going to cross very many bridges, so I have more control of where I'm going. But you'll get a lot more points if you can make those really big moves and cross 3 or 4 bridges at a time so you can get, if you can figure out a way to get to the right places, you'll be very, very well rewarded. But, like I said, that is a big challenge, a huge challenge to try to, make it to move across multiple bridges because the more you move, the less freedom you have for your subsequent move. It's really cool. Jen and I really liked it a lot. Total keeper, and it's coming out at Essen Spiel, and I think this is going to be one of those games, is one of the, what do you call, sleeper hits. When everybody asks, hey, what was the coolest thing you saw at the show this year that nobody's talking about? Well, a lot of people, I think, it got very dark. Oh, yeah. A lot of people are going to be talking about Kingdom Crossing, which is very, very cool and comes in at number 10 on the list. Now, where am I going next? All right, folks, I don't know where I am, but I seem to have lost Jen in the grotto. I'm just going to have to walk around and look for her while I continue the countdown with number 9, The Gamemakers, which was a sponsored preview I did for a game that's crowdfunding right now. And, oh my gosh, folks, this one really blew me and Jen away. This is probably going to be one of Jen's top games of the year, quite frankly, and I thought it was really great as well. We are board game manufacturing companies, and it's, I guess you'd say, a triple rondelle. It's kind of like a rondelle fused with Concordia because over time the rondelle has this layer on top of it that at any given time only lets you grab one of the next 3 spaces, but then as this layer on top rotates, opening up new avenues, new actions you can do, but covering up the old ones, that's how you start collecting your workers back, which are these cool little forklifts. The gameplay is absolutely phenomenal. You can check out my run through to see why. And the gimmick of the game, which is that the board games we're making are actual real-world board games. They have over 300 licensed games, and so chances are some of your favorite games are in this game, and you get to be the one to make them by fulfilling the right recipes based on working that rondel. It's great. Like I said, it's a gimmick, but if you are a die-hard board game aficionado, it really elevates the game to have all the original art instead of just like, kind of wink and nod references to it. Even Jen, who doesn't normally follow such things, she was really getting it. Oh, speaking of her, I think I see her. I just saw up ahead a little curled dog tail that looks like Daisy, so I'm going to speed up and see if I can catch her. But what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. I know it's a very expensive game, and I don't often talk about costs of games on the channel because, that's a very subjective thing of how much is too much, based on everybody's individual financial situation. It is a very expensive game. I kind of wish there was a cheaper version of it, but the game isn't expensive because of the really super deluxe components. It's expensive because of the licensing agreement. All those artists got to get paid for all those 300 plus games. I cannot deny how much more fun the game was because I was getting to build my favorite games of all time. At the end of the day, folks, watch my run through, decide for yourself if it looks like fun. Because who cares what I think? But like I said, my sponsored preview of the Gamemakers definitely made me and Jen believers, and it comes in at number 9 of the month. Oh, yeah, and there she is. Okay, let's keep going then and catch up with her. Number 8 of the month is Epona. Epona, the latest game from Vladimir Suki, one of my favorite designers of all time. And pretty much every Essen, he always comes up with like a really big, new game. Your underwater cities, your pocket rednecks, but not this year. This year, he's got a much lighter weight, smaller game, all about trying to run your best horse stables, whether you're raising horses for racing or for working or for competition, dressage, all those types of things. But the crux of the game is there are 6 different types of cards: work horses, race horses, equipment, personnel, and 2 different types of equipment, basically, and 2 types of personnel. Yeah, that's what it was. And so every round, there's going to be a quick draft for players to find out which decks of cards they get to pull cards from. And then, so if I end up getting this card that says, hey, I can take 2 from this deck, 2 from this deck, 2 from any deck I want, but then of all those 6 cards, I only get to keep 3 of them. Which 3 am I going to keep? That's a really simple mechanism, but it's really compelling and creates lots of fun, kind of push your luck. Oh, I hope I get what I didn't get what I want, but I've got this. What am I going to do with it? Well, I can't keep all these cards. Maybe I get rid of it and save this one because it's going to work better with the thing I really want to combo, but only if I can get this other card later. And I've still got plenty of time because every round you're going to grab a whole bunch of cards, but only keep a few of them as you then try to puzzle them together into a grid where the various stables that have different requirements are on the far left, and then you're putting the tracks and the horses and the trainers and all the other stuff to the right in various spots. Cards want to be next to other types of cards. Cards want to be in certain rows or columns. Cards have special bonuses they can do. All kinds of stuff. There's a ton of variety with these cards. And it's really fun and compelling from start to finish. Now, I'm rating this as an 8 based on the way Jen and I played it, which was the fast way to play, because the interesting thing is the default way this game is supposed to play is an I split you choose, where a bunch of cards get drawn. The lead player has to split them all up into buckets, and then players grab those buckets, and whoever split them up gets the last thing. I would never want to play this game like that. Jen and I, we're not fans of I split you choose anyway, but for folks who do like that kind of gameplay, this is going to be one of the best iterations of it because there's so much variety of stuff you pick up. So, if you want the heavier, more complex, more brain-burny version, you've got that. But Jen and I are very happy with the, hey, every round we just end up drafting a card that says what other decks we get to draw from as we build up our best stables. And it's great. I think I'm going to be doing a run-through for it here on the road in the next week or so before Essen Spiel comes up. So you'll be able to get to see it in action pretty soon. But for now, you're just going to have to rely on these pictures that we grabbed off of Board Game Geek that don't really do the game justice. Anyway, number 8 of the month is Epona. And There's Jen right over there, and we might take a break, folks, because I think Jen would like to do some more walking and less talking. Okay, we are leaving the castle behind to head into Old Town. As you can see, our old girl Daisy here, she's getting a little tired, so we got this cool little backpack we can carry her around with so she can get a breather and then get back up and at 'em. Right, Daisy? Right? Oh, Daisy's a good girl. But anyway, folks, where were we? We're at number 8. Okay, number 7 is Galileo Galilei, the Luna expansion. I mentioned earlier that designer Thomas Hollick is back with a bunch of new games and expansions this year. And this is one for what was my wife's favorite of his games from last year, Galileo Galilei. Now, this one basically adds 2 big elements. 4 characters who all have new cool ways to play, tile laying games, and little progress mini tracks, all kinds of fun stuff. Each of the characters, I would say they're kind of comparable to the depth and complexity of the previous game, maybe a little bit more, but they're all fun to play and very, very different than what's come before. And then there's the moon, Luna itself. This becomes a new element that we can observe. In the original game, you were just observing the planets and, heavenly bodies and whatnot. Now, there's a sideboard of 9 moon tiles, and they all start face down, but over the course of the game, as the moon goes through its phases, more and more of these tiles get revealed, and we can observe close up, the craters and whatnot of the moon, and get all kinds of new benefits. But the important thing is, when you observe the moon, you do not draw the attention of the regular Inquisition, like the first game. Now you draw the attention of Grand Inquisitors, who function exactly the same. They go on your progress track, and they cause you to lose double points at the end of the game if you haven't taken care of them. But when you do, you get huge super benefits because there's this new board you can place them on. They are, there's a lot more danger to observe the moon and make your observations, but the rewards are super cool if you can stay on top of things. So, is this a must-have expansion? Not necessarily. The Luna module is very cool, and I love the risk-reward of it, and the fact that, if I recall correctly, 3 of the 4 new characters are actual famous female astronomers. That's really great, too, something that was missing in the first game. So overall, if you love Galileo Galilei, you gotta get it. But if you were it's not going to turn you into a fan if you didn't enjoy the base game. This is just a nice for completionist sort of thing, and it comes in at number 7, Galileo Galilei Luna. And then,
Just, are you seeing how cute this puppy is?
Yes, I know, yes.
She is so cute.
Yeah, there she is.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
All right, sorry. See where we. Okay. As you can see behind me, there's what we're walking towards in the Old Town, and what's number 6 of the month is The Hobbit. There and Back Again, which I have not done a run through for, but Tyler and Ilya from Covray, they did a great how to play, so that's on screen right now. Thanks, guys. There's a link for that down in the show notes if you want to go check it out. They do a great job describing everything. What is this? This is a roll and write from Reiner Knizia, which is just interesting in and of itself. Plus, the Hobbit subject matter is absolutely fantastic too. But what's coolest about this game is it's actually a little storybook that comes with 8 different adventures that tell the different chapters. Dealing with the trolls and dealing with Gollum and all of that. And each one of these different adventures plays a different way. There's broadly 3 different types of adventures. One, which is kind of a journey path where we're going from the west side to the east side of a board and dealing with goblins or wargs or whatever it might, spiders, depending on which adventure we're playing. There's also ones where instead we're doing kind of polyomino space filling, and then there's also like some special oddball ones, like the first one, which is kind of an interesting route builder. Anyway, though, apparently Jen's stopping to check out the ice cream.
Ice cream.
So I got to get through this so we can get some rewards for working hard here. The crux of the game is every round there's going to be, what do you call it? I forget, like 5 dice to the roll, and the dice have polyomino shapes on them. that are also represent the paths you can take, or wizard hats representing Gandalf, or swords represent. Well, the icons represent different things depending on which mission you're playing of the 8 that come with it, and then there's food, lambus bread. And so whichever session you're going to play, you value those things differently. You know, Gandalf, wizard hats generally give you kind of bonuses to break the rules in other ways. And overall, it's just a great production. It looks great. The art is wonderful. It's a lot of fun to play. Jen and I, we just played the first 2, and then I've looked at what all the other ones do, and this one's totally a keeper for us. You know, I could see this being, Jen, in fact, actually insisted I bring it on the road with us so we could play it while we are, traipsing through the EU. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's going to be making some top 10s of the year for sure. There's still a lot of life left in roll and writes, and Reiner Knizia never disappoints, which is why number 6 of the month is The Hobbit, there and back again. I think I'm going to get some ice cream now. Okay. Cinnamon plum. Oh my goodness. Anyway, where are we at now? Oh, stop scrolling. All right, number 5 is White Castle Duel, which I was really interested in. I mean, turning a very beloved Euro into a smaller sibling version of it is very hit or miss. I would say this one is definitely a hit. Chile and Isra, the designers are back, and they've knocked it out of the park, and it's still 2-player only, no solo mode, sadly. 2-player only worker placement game. It got rid of the dice and replaced them with colored discs. And most of the actions you remember are still there. The climbing up the castle, investing in military training, going to the gardens. But now there's also engaging in trade with the Portuguese. But the thematic trappings are 100% still there. It's very, very similar to what you recall. But the worker placement is very different because on your turn you're going to place either a black, orange, or a white worker on one of the various worker placement spots, and then do 2 actions. The actions is to the left and the right of whatever spot you chose. And the trick of the game is, if I pick my orange worker, I cannot put it on an orange worker. I have to put an orange worker on a black or a white worker. And so the actual space that I can send my workers is constantly shifting based on what I and my opponent do, what we end up covering up on the board. Which way are we going? Oh, we're going this way. Oh my gosh, yeah, that looks exciting off in that direction. So it's a constantly shifting worker placement board. I really want to go there because there's 2 things. The space I go to, I get to activate the action to the left and the right of that, which are all the actions from White Castle. But in addition to that, whatever color I land on, if I pick my orange and I put it on a white space, I get to activate all my queued up white bonus actions, which maybe I've invested in, or maybe I haven't done those much at all. Maybe I've only invested in orange action, so I want to cover up an orange space, but I can't do that with an orange worker. So the puzzle of this game is awesome. This is obviously one of the best games of the month because it's here at number 5, but I'm just here to say right now, folks, this does not disappoint. Jen and I, we love White Castle, and I'm not going to say I love this one better because it is much simpler. It's a much more straightforward game. Simpler rules. Also plays in, I guess, about the same time, even though it's now a 12-round game instead of a 9-round game. But there is so much to recommend here. It's absolutely fantastic. My ice cream is starting to melt. I got back to that. Number 5 of the month is White Castle Duel. Okay, folks, we've made it to the main square, and Daisy, I think Daisy's she's got her second wind, or she just wants our ice cream, and she's getting ready to get back down. So we've got numbers 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to speed run these because we got to go check out this big gigantic church up there and all the rest of it. Plus, these storm clouds are kind of worrying me a little bit, so we might have to speed things up. Plus, we got to get back to wherever we parked. So, all 4, 3, 2, and 1, I have done run-throughs for all of these, so you can just go check them out and watch my final thoughts. Number 4 is Everdell Silverfrost, which is the best Everdell yet, as far as I'm concerned, because it has all the same stuff you've come to love from Everdell, plus new concepts like snow that's covering up worker placement spots, and special ranger workers that can go to occupied spaces. Really cool, fun stuff. Number 3 is Cascadia Alpine, which we're doing a sponsored run for. That hasn't gone up yet, but it will be going up in the month of October, and it's going to be a very special run-through because it's me and Jen playing the first half of the game, the first 10 rounds, and then Amy and Maggie will finish the game that we started. And this is basically Cascadia, but now we can build upwards by stacking tiles on top of each other in addition to building outwards, and we're doing domino tiles instead of just single tiles. Really, really great. It's as good as Cascadia has ever been, but with a focus more on the terrain and less on the animals, but still wonderful stuff. Number 2, Coming of Age, another one I've done a run through for. This one's definitely going to be in my top 10 of the year, and it would have been my number 1 of the month, except for the publisher missed a trick. It's so thematic, telling the story of young children growing into adolescence and young adulthood, really focusing on their inner lives and helping them, get through tough spots with a very, very cool dice worker placement game where the dice decide where they want to go. We don't decide, we just have to overcome the limitations because you never know what these kids are going to want. It's really, really great. I just wish they'd done a little bit more to bring the theme to life by just putting text on the cards representing what all the different cards mean. It's my only complaint. It would have been my number 1 of the month and probably in my maybe the best game of the year so far I played, except for that one miss. Go watch my final thoughts. I go into a lot more detail. And number 1 is Recall, which, oh my goodness, this one's definitely going to be in the top 10 of the year also. The sequel to what was it? Revive that came out a few years ago. Everybody loves Revive. And this one, it looks the same, and I understand why a lot of people are saying, oh, isn't just more of the same, but it's a radically different feeling game, folks. The fantastic gameplay of this is off the charts, and overall it is a much more strategic and less tactical game than Revive ever was. With the only thing the Revive has that I think I prefer is a little bit more interaction, positive interaction between players. This game doesn't have it, but also it doesn't have any of the negative interaction that Revive had, which overall makes it a much better game for me and Jen, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. You can watch my run through to see why. And that's it, folks. We are done. I think I see Jen over there. She is with the lone dog. So we've got to go. We've got to let Daisy down. Daisy. Daisy wants to get over there too. And I've got to be careful not to walk into people while still enjoying beautiful Old Town Severton. Probably going to go check that street out. Looks very nice. And folks, that was the roundup. A big month. I think next month, now they're on the road, it's going to be tough to play as many games. I was playing a lot of games before we left. But we will see you at Essen Spiel if you're going to be there. And otherwise, I'll just see you again in another month as I let you know what Jen and I have been playing on the road. Where will I film from? I do not know. But thanks for watching, and thanks to James Wood for cleaning this up. I don't know what he's going to do with this crazy video. But it is time to go explore some more stuff. And we'll see you again next month, everybody. Talk to you. So long. Bye-bye.